Hello, my love, and welcome to Activate Your Intuition. I'm your host, Gabrielle. I'm a psychic, a medium, an intuitive, and a deeply grounded empath who teaches other intuitives how to activate their intuition. And if you've been a long-time listener to the podcast, which you may have been on Spotify or iTunes, you will know that doing these live videos is something that's so new to me and something I felt so deeply called via spirit. So if this is your first ever episode, welcome to the tribe. Let's activate your intuition. Let's help you own your gifts and your magic. So today's episode, I just wanted to drop in and just reintroduce myself for all of those catching the video content. So I have been the creator of this podcast. It started as Becoming Intuitive and now it's Activate Your Intuition. And it's been through a few iterations since then. But I am a psychic development teacher who is really grounded in the aspect that whenever anyone steps into the word empathic or into the archetype of intuition, we get to use these words and these archetypes to our advantage. And I've been in this industry for a while now. This is like my 4th year. And I see a lot of negativity. And I'm going to call it what it is. Because the truth is, we live in this beautiful designed matrix that is here for us to create whatever we desire. Right? And a lot of us, it is so easy to feed into fear frequency. I remember when I was opening up my psychic gifts and my mediumship gifts, I became so scared. I was like, what if someone hurts me or attacks me? Or what if someone hangs out with me? Or what if I can't cleanse them away? Or what if I can't get control of my auric field or my chakras? And I was so scared in that for so many years. And today, as the psychic I am, it's like, well, I'm in control of that. If I actually thought something negative was to happen, I had to actually come up with that concept. So why can't I just constantly think that positive things are going to happen and thus they'll manifest? Right? And I see this industry so clouded in fear because it's so easy to feed into that fear space, right? And when we are in that fear space, it's not easy to get out. Like, how easy is it to go to the grocery store and go, I shouldn't spend money, but not be excited about what we purchased, right? But we're equally just in the fear frequency. Or how easy is it to listen to someone rant in their own fear than it is to hear someone who's absolutely slaying life and making so much money. Right? Vibration is everything. If you haven't listened to my podcast, Activate Your Intuition, I highly recommend you go give it a binge listen because I kind of talk into all of these concepts that help you build a dictionary to understand what I talk about. So, today's topic is what I would do if I was trying to become a psychic today. Okay? So, if I was trying to become a psychic today, the first thing I would do honestly, is get a journal. Like, if I was trying to become psychic today, I would go and get a journal. And I would write, what are the things I'm scared about becoming intuitive about? Like, am I scared about the energy? Am I scared someone's going to take over? What am I scared at? And where did those beliefs come from? And you'll probably find that you didn't even create those beliefs. Someone gave them to you. So it's time to rid them. Whether you burn that piece of paper or whether you keep it as a reminder, it doesn't matter. But I would do the deep shadow work first. And shadow work and psychic development and personal development go hand in hand, okay? So many people are like, it doesn't go together. But honestly, it does. Like, it is so potent. It is so connected. You actually can't raise your frequency without doing the personal development work. You'll get stuck at a frequency, right? So if you are trying to become intuitive, it's really important you do the mindset work. And mindset work and shadow work are very similarly interlinked. Now, there is multiple ways. We live in a very big archetypal system. There is multiple levels of shadow work, and everyone does shadow work differently. I'm not a fan of how some people do it who just journal and answer questions. Like, I remember a time when I used to like Google questions, like what are the best shadow work questions? And now I understand that there is a procedure and a way to actually do it, and preparation you actually have to have in order to be able to see things clearly. And back then I didn't know it. So whatever level of shadow work you're at, please try and do that for yourself. If you need help doing that, I run shadow work courses and they're absolutely incredible, if I do say so myself. But you need to get to the core understanding of why you could fear it, right? That is step one. And this is actual work I do in my psychic school with my clients. The second thing I would do is actually change my diet, which is probably like out there that most people would be like, why food? So when we are eating low vibrational foods, okay, and we're trying to raise our frequency enough to connect to our guides, our masters and our teachers, it's actually really difficult. Our food has a vibrational frequency, and if we're eating products that are manufactured and don't have a living consciousness in them, right, you honestly will struggle to connect. So what you eat affects how intuitive you are, which so many people don't talk into. Your food holds frequency, and you hold that frequency inside of your body. So if you're trying to connect to a master teacher who's up here and you're eating food that's down here, even if you try and pull yourself up, the food's going to hold you down a little bit. So I'd highly recommend shifting your diet into eating some whole grains, eating some fruit and veg, whatever feels fresh and nutritious and alive for you. I highly recommend that. The other thing I would do is build some self-practice. And it's really important that I just quickly talk into this. So many people go to psychics, right? We go to a psychic and we're like, I need you to tell me what to do. Every time we sit in front of a psychic reader, it is actually a call to become psychic. And you're not just meant to be there for clarity, you're meant to be there to understand yourself. And a really amazing psychic realizes that their intuition isn't for others, that's a byproduct. They realize their intuition is for themselves, to grow and help, and to become empowered. And then when they feel empowered, they can help others do that as well. But it's that process, okay? It's not just for other people, it's for ourselves. And when we're sitting in that chair across a psychic, it's the universe going, hey, I'm going to tap you on the shoulder and tell you you could be doing the same thing. And sometimes we will be starting at such a low frequency or vibration that that's a long journey. Because we have to fix our food, how we move our body. We get to fix how comfortable we are with sitting with ourselves. We get to fix how much healing we perceive we have to do. We get to learn how to heal. We get to learn to be so freaking comfortable with ourselves, right? Which is just magic. And that's all psychic development is learning to see yourself clearly, that you can see someone else and feel someone else, right? And so many of us overcomplicate this and call it a gift. It's not a gift. It's a human sensation. It's a human sense. There are 7 extra senses added to the normal I see, I hear, I feel senses. Like, we have just taken something and we've called it a gift, when indeed it is a human right. But that calls for a deep self-connection. And that level of self-connection, so many people don't want to have. And that's honestly the worst part, is that people who are psychic or intuitive are, and I'm going to say generally because not everyone is, they're connected to themselves. They have routines and practices that serve their energy and their frequency so they can read the energy and frequencies of others. And then you kind of go up this ladder of your like self-development work, and you then call in different clients or call in different frequencies. Like, we are constantly manifesting whether we perceive we are or not. Like, manifesting is all we do when we grow our intuition. I'm actually manifesting my intuition. Like, that's literally what it is. You manifest your intuition. It doesn't find you. It's not a gift. And when we are trying to manifest this, so many people are like, oh, I've got to go get a vision board, or I've got to change my belief systems, or I've got to do X, Y, and Z, right? If you just start with a mantra and you say that mantra 7 times a day, I am divinely intuitive, right? I am divinely intuitive and connected. And this mantra will lead you to find your intuition. And if you struggle finding your intuition in this way, it may be because you actually need to borrow faith from someone else. And this is really how we escalate and grow. And this is what the coaching industry is built off. That we kind of like, especially business coaching, like I'm actually going to sit in someone's frequency and then I'm going to explode with them because I'm going to take on their standards, their expectations, and what is my energetic minimum income, right? So you're doing the same thing in psychic development. So if you struggle to really connect to your intuition by yourself, it may be because you need to borrow some faith to help you manifest. Because I believe that everyone who sits in a room with me will be intuitive. The level varies dependent on how well they sit with themselves and how well and comfortable they are. Because dis-ease will also lower our frequency. So it's truly a deep process, but it is one that is fun and that gets to be lighthearted and not taken so seriously. I think a lot of us are so in the fear of psychic development. Like, we're so in the fear of what if something happens? But what if like the worst thing that actually happens is that thought? Like, you're just projecting. To me, in my reality, and this doesn't sit well with people, is that there is no negative energy. When I first became intuitive, my mother took me to a psychic when I was still in high school. And this psychic was like, you have someone attached to you. And I was like, yeah, I do. I think I know that. And we had this beautiful soul contract me in this spirit because that spirit inheritively made me clairvoyant. And I became so petrified of the dark when she cleansed me of his energy. And it was just super easy. She's like, you just have to say these words, like, please leave me. And I was like, okay, well, please leave me. And then I just, like, I felt so different. And it was such an awakening period for me. It wasn't anything negative. I and that soul had a contract, and I've had a lot of contracts with deceased loved ones to help me become intuitive. For a while, I had so many soul contracts that I actually worked in a funeral home. Not on purpose at all, just the universe lined that one up. I don't take credit for that. But it was such a deep initiation into my intuition, and your soul will have created experiences, have led you to maybe my Instagram page or this podcast page or my YouTube in order to be in contact with maybe my spirit to help you awaken your gifts. Because when we are connected, honestly, we are able to flow with the universe. We are able to fully take ownership of ourselves and also manifest what we desire. And I think some people overcomplicate it, like, oh, I want to be a healer to help others. And it's like, well, first of all, we get that goodness. We get to create the life of our dream first. And then we can give and be of service. So, if you are sitting across the room from a psychic, or you're so intrigued in the psychic realm, I highly recommend you learn. I highly recommend you start with that mantra of, I'm connected to my intuition. I'm activating my psychic abilities, or whatever feels really cool for you. And just start to honor yourself and build a connection to yourself. Like, check in with yourself daily. Like, how am I actually feeling? Do I feel heavy? Do I feel good? Do I feel stagnant? Learn the chakra system. Does my solar plexus feel depleted? Does my throat feel restricted? And knowing that we're also in a time of the throat chakra, and a lot of people are really waking up to their personal empowered voice, will really help you. So know that that's like a collective consciousness thing we're moving through, which is cool. And know that it won't always stay that way. And I think so many people get so harsh on their energy when they are learning to become intuitive. They're like, oh no, this Reiki practitioner said that my throat is out of alignment. And oh my goodness, like, what does that mean? Or what do I do? Or how do I fix that? Your life is the catalyst for your fixing. Like, the universe will bring in who's going to show you to speak deeper to your truth. The universe will bring in how to move through that. Like, you have to realize the problems that come up in our energy system are generally fixed by living our lives. And if we choose to actually see life as a lesson and actually play into the lessons and go, oh, well, this is what it's teaching me and this is what shadow work is, it actually teaches you to look at your soul's essence as a life lesson. And not just be like, feel like you're pushing a trolley completely uphill with bricks in it. And I know that's how a lot of people feel. And when we are that deeply connected to our shadow work and to our own intuition and our self-practice, it's like we just see the lesson, like, it's coming up to Libra season. Like, have you looked at where your like Libra falls into your like astrology? Like, for me, it's philosophy, and I'm starting to feel like I'm building my own psychic philosophy that really goes against the grain to what other psychics say that it is in the fear-based stigma, right? And that's so freaking beautiful. And I've literally like written pages and pages, and especially like the last masterclass I ran last month, which is understanding your soul's lesson. It really like brought this into perspective for me, because when we zoom out and we can look at our life, we get to change our life. And it was like one of the best masterclasses I think I've ever run in my whole life. And I've run so many, and something I highly recommend if you are learning how to access your intuition or you're wanting to do that shadow work. It's a tiny little teaser into it. It's not the full 9-week course, but it will give you a perspective, which is really cool. But other than that, so changing your food, learning your mantras, like, it's just important that you check in with that frequency of yours. In a lot of my past podcasts, I talked about what is frequency and how it affects your life, and the vibrational scale. Your vibrational scale and your frequency are very similarly connected, which is magic. So change your food, change your habits, change your shadows, and ultimately accept yourself as who you are, because that's all becoming psychic is. And I think we make it this like woo-woo out there concept, when realistically it's this embodied peace. It's not like, how do I get out of my body and into outer space? It's like, how can I sit so deeply within my soul that my channel becomes activated and messages are freaking flowing through so fast and so frequently? And how can you have the self-trust to then go act on this message or this message or this message? Can you see how different that is to what society is saying? And recently my intuition always says things to me in a really soft voice. And like a month ago, I was like sitting and I was like applying for some stalls, to do some stalls at some events, and my brain was like, you should apply for my Body Spirit Festival in Sydney, Australia, if you guys didn't know that's where I'm from. And I was like, oh, that seems big. So I did it on a whim and I got in. 21,000 people go to this festival. I'm a tiny 6-month startup running for my ceremonial cacao company. If you guys didn't know, I had one. It's called Your Sacred Ritual. And my guides told me to really bring cacao to people when someone asked me, what would I sell? And I was like, ceremonial cacao. Of course, because it anchors me into my heart chakra. It brings beautiful clarity to my channel and helps me receive messages. So, and that just happened, and I had the ability to trust myself and just go all in and go for it. even though it felt like the most scariest thing in the world. And that's the gift of our intuition, is actually not just receiving messages, which I think so many people are. It's like, I want the universe to tell me what to do. You actually learn self-trust, you learn self-honesty, and you learn how to act from a place of spiritual integrity, so you live in your mission and in your dharma. So, I hope this podcast has completely inspired you to go off and work on your energy, your intuition, and help you get some grounding in what could shift your intuition for you. That's not just like, oh, I'm going to go study the clairs. Like, sometimes studying something isn't going to give you what you actually need. And especially when we talk about frequency work, it's really different. And if you're wanting to jump into psychic school, we have an intake starting on the 25th of this month. It's so soon. It's still on pre-sale for 2 more days if you want to grab it at the cheapest rate, and then prices go up. It is a 10-week course that walks you through doing the mindset work, understanding frequency, doing the vibrational work, and just overall helping you connect to your intuition. But until next week, I hope you stay intuitive and connected to yourself, and I will see you so soon. Thanks for tuning in, guys.